Hello, hello. My name is Maxine Samone. I'm here to share a touch of Venus with you. And I had to hop on here. ASAP. I'm just going to keep flowing with the messages because I was being given. I feel like I've been being given more serious, heavy messages to deliver to the collective lately. I'm just going to run down a series of events or like nudges that I've been getting about the collective consciousness and what we may be experiencing in the near future. And I also have some notes that I scribbled here for the collective. If you're watching on TikTok and you can't stay for the entire reading, this will be posted on YouTube. And if you are seeing this on YouTube, if you can like, share, subscribe to the channel, that's a free way to support, and I really appreciate that. So I want to talk about a pretty heavy message that keeps coming through for the collective. It's about a collective shift that's happening, but it may take place in some form with destruction. It feels very heavy. It feels like I've been getting the message all year of 2020 part 2 in the way that there was a something that, the panoramic, okay? It happened to the collective and it shifted the collective consciousness. And it was a shock to the system. Every time there is a natural disaster or something like catastrophic like that happens to a major city, and it has a ripple effect in the economic state of the world, as well as it brings us back to, it turns us back to our support, our community, it reminds us of our mortality, our humanity, and it also exposes everything that is not in alignment with that, right? It feels like the collective is going to be experiencing another big shock. It feels like specifically to California. And I'm going to run down the nudges that I've been getting about this for the past week. And this is not an easy message to deliver in the way that I never have the intention of fear mongering. I feel like it's being put on my heart to share with the collective what I've been picking up. Especially considering I fucking live in California, okay? So like, there's that. But I would say let's just start with this week. It's small little things. Obviously, we see there's disruption in the collective because every election year there's a lot of disruption. There are a lot of things happening in the news. We see powers that be falling. We see the exposure of darkness on a collective level, right? And it's because the collective consciousness is rising to a certain frequency that all of those power structures, all of those things that held the foundation for a lower frequency are falling away. So we're in the middle space, we're in the void space of like creating something new, but also what feels like detoxing or getting rid of all of these darker, disgusting, fucking demonic energies that we have been allowing to exist by turning a blind eye. Because it's not that there weren't people that knew, it was people that knew that didn't speak up, And so that's why I feel it's necessary to use your voice right now. I feel like there's a call for people that are gifted, even whether you consider yourself gifted or not gifted, whatever. I feel like there's a call to rise and answer your specific call, whatever that looks like for you. To me, that looks like using my voice. That means sharing my gifts. That means sharing the insights that I receive from the divine, And so this week, what triggered, I feel like this flood of information that came in. I was just working. I'm minding my business, But I'm also consistently getting downloads for, thank you, Train. Consistently getting downloads, and so I jot them down sometimes and I do my collective readings and whatever. But this morning, my friend, shout out to Haley, she texted me, and she's very intuitive. She's very intuitive. And we've had downloads around collective consciousness before that are very similar. She texted me this morning, and she was like, I had a really specific dream about California, a natural disaster hitting California. So I just want to kind of give you that because I know that you stay there. And I was like, thank you for letting me know. I've actually heard or felt on and off that something will be happening with California myself. And it, like I said, it feels like something big is happening. Obviously, we know that something big is happening. There's big shifts taking place. It's like, and specifically, I've had the download. If you go back on my other readings, I've said it feels like there's something breaking through the root or breaking through some specific foundation from the bottom up, or like there's a rumbling happening, like a tectonic plate. And she said specifically, and you know, California's been known for earthquakes, and we've been having these natural disasters, that in her dream she saw that California was having a major earthquake, and that, you know, she doesn't know exactly, obviously this is just a prophetic dream that she's having, and so she shared it with me. But also earlier in the week, my mother is a Scorpio, okay, so she's highly intuitive, even though she doesn't use her gifts in the like in those ways, but she's highly intuitive. She has prophetic dreams sometimes as well, but she didn't have any dreams. She randomly bought my son an FM radio, like a little robotic FM radio, and you can tune into different stations, and he's into science and all of those things right now. So she just randomly bought him that this past week. And then she, in passing, I was looking at it, my son's playing with it, and she was like, yeah, I heard that it's good for when you have natural disasters, like to have like one of those in the house, because, you know, you can stay in tune with everything that's going around. Randomly dropped that little nugget of information. I was like, okay, you know what I'm saying? So then I also, so I'm working today, and I'm clairaudient, so that means that I get messages through music, or I hear certain things and all those things. And I have a playlist to give you, okay? Of like, I put my phone on shuffle, I'm chilling, I'm listening to work. But the song that kickstarted my, like, that tuned me into what was really happening with my music, there was this song, Tony, It Never Rains. And the chorus is, it never rains in Southern California. And they tell me, you know what I'm saying? That song. And it kept saying Southern California, it never rains, blah, blah, blah. But then I look at the cover, and it says The Revival. And it has all of these signs. It says Tony on the like Hollywood type signs. And it says The Revival. And I was just talking to my friend when I got that text message. I sent my other friend that's also very intuitive. And I was just like, you know, my other friend just told me that she had a prophetic dream. And we were literally like, I was like, honestly, that would not surprise me if something happened, like a natural disaster happened in California, because I think that we've been predicting that for quite a while, especially an earthquake. But also I said specifically, I was like, if anything happens, it would most likely be in Southern California because of all the dark and demonic shit that's been happening in California. It's like a natural cleansing. And I say it lightly, but I don't say it lightly, you know? And so then that song starts playing, and I was just like, interesting. And so that song played. It said specifically in the lyrics, like, take you on a natural ride, just me and you alone. And it kept saying about moving east. In the lyrics, it says going east, go east, go east, you know. Away from, I believe my friend that texted me about her dream, she said there was something to do with flooding or water. And the earthquake kind of vibe. So going east away from the water sources could be really important, you know. There was another couple of songs that played. There's The Message by J-Rock. There was a few that kept playing, but the ones that like I really were speaking to me, I wrote down The Message by J-Rock, and these two songs played back to back. So like the cover art and the song titles caught my attention. Said the message by J-Rock, and it says the first few lines, it was like, if you're testing me, this is not my testimony. And I feel this wave. I felt so hot listening to these songs. My hands kept getting hot. My body kept flushing. Just like of confirming that it was messages. But it feels like when I was listening to the music, it made me think of this post that I saw of Diddy that he has this big ass tattoo of fuck. It's like a black Madonna, you know? It's like the black version of Mary Magdalene, something along those lines. It's a feminine goddess that he has blasted on his back, but it's so contradictory and blasphemous, you know what I'm saying? It feels like, I really feel that I've been saying for the past over a year that it feels like this divine feminine is rising, and even the earth, Mother Earth, is encompassing in that. And there is a rebellion, not a rebellion, it's a retribution, because it's not rebelling against something. It is in a way, but it's more like retribution. It's about bringing things back into balance. And it made me think of that and all of the darkness that happens in Los Angeles. I don't know if you've ever been in downtown Los Angeles, but it has a very dark vibe. And you know, they call it the city of Los Angeles and all of those things. But all of these things that are being revealed about the power structures, not just in Hollywood, but how it's connected to so many other things, you know? So J-Rock, there's a lot of songs in a lot of messages in that song, The Message. I highly recommend go listen to that one as well. And then there was the song that played right after that was God's Country by Travis Scott. And if you ever listen to God's Country, it has a very creepy vibe, but it also, I've enjoyed that song because of the vibe of it, even though it has like this, he's talking about kind of almost being lost to the darkness, but he can see the light. It also has this, the lyrics say, this is God, it's God's country, this is war. He's literally said something around, it's out your hands at this point. The things that have taken place, I'm getting chills, the things that have taken place are so, I can't even find the words. It's just, we're so out of balance that it's going to be something that is, and I prayed to be able to find the words for this reading because it feels so heavy, but I've been getting very like biblical-esque messages lately. It feels like there is a wave of karma coming that has been talked about before. That's the best way that I can put it in like biblical terms. And there is this balancing that is going to be happening. And it may also come in the form of natural disaster. And it also, it's like tied into a cleansing or a purification, like a storm of a particular area as well. You know, that doesn't mean that everybody in that area obviously is bad or has, you know, whatever. But I do feel like that is why it's important. The people that are getting these messages speak up to also like send out this frequency, vibration, activation to those that need to hear it so that they can prepare and or move and or do whatever they feel called to do. I can't tell you what to do. All I can do is deliver the messages. Okay. So don't shoot the messenger. Take it if it resonates. If it doesn't, leave the rest. But it keeps going on to the message by J-Rock. It says that hell on earth is being recaptured. Literally, those were the lyrics. And he mentioned something. He literally said the word flamingo, which flamingo is a really spirit animal that sticks out to me a lot because in the beginning of my journey, someone asked me like, what animal do I like connect with the most at the zoo? And they're like, first animal that comes to your mind. I said flamingo, even though, I mean, I love flamingos, but I don't know why I said flamingo, but we wanted a deep study of flamingo in spiritual terms. And it actually is the act of turning inward. You know how flamingos, they look down. So it said something about flamingo and turning inward and like being focused on self. And I feel like that there's an era of protection of those that have turned inward, specifically also with the three names with the Tony. It's almost like the Trinity, you know what I'm saying? Because it's spelled three different ways, but it's the same word or the same name. So I feel like those that have tapped into this level of higher level, this frequency of higher level consciousness, of Christ consciousness, you know what I'm saying? This is what I'm saying with the three, the Holy Trinity. I feel like I am yapping and like rambling, but I'm hoping that is connecting the dots to those that are meant to hear it. But specifically after that song, oh, he said in that in that song as well that changes already happened. You can't look back. And I've said this in another message as well. There's another biblical story that says something about if you look back, you turn into salt or something like that. I don't know exactly that story, but it came to mind in a reading. And it's like there is nothing to look back on. There is something that is being destroyed. So if you feel, I feel like there is going to be a lot of people that struggle with taking action based off of the, thank you, Trey. Taking action based off of the messages that they're being presented, whether they're being given them directly from the divine in their own personal life and their own downloads, or if they're hearing them from people around them. I feel like people are going to have a hard time leaving behind those that are not hopping on board, which is, you cannot sacrifice yourself in order to try to save another. You know what I'm saying? So there's that. And then the final song that I heard before I hopped on here was Champions, and it had Kanye, Travis Scott, Big Sean. It was like an older song, not that old, but but it says, pray for me, I'm about to hit the yay button. This is Kanye, you know what I'm saying? Meaning that he's about to say some shit, and but he said, imagine if I didn't say anything, I'd be wrong if I didn't say something, you know what I'm saying? So like they keep going and they're saying, I pray for my enemies. It was talking about this rise of people that speak the truth, that are meant to be, it feels like very much like the meek shall inherit the earth type of vibe, and this cleansing, this purification. I mentioned something around like divine sifting. It's almost like sifting and like a separation happening. So those are my notes that I was getting fucking bombarded with while I was working. But we're going to get into cards. And like I said, I cleansed the cards. I have prayed to find the right words to hopefully activate someone, to inspire someone to take action where they feel called to share their voice if they feel called to. If you've been getting downloads about big changes, you don't know who needs to hear your messages, who needs to hear your specific words. So please do that. Stop playing small, because this is your time to shine, not just for yourself and your own individual success, but for the collective and those that are needing to hear what you have to say. You know what I'm saying? And it's a time for you to really clear your ego out of the way so that you can be a channel for the divine. Okay? Angels, ancestors, spirit guides, higher beings of light and unconditional love, divine mother, divine father. Sorry, my hair is bothering me. Divine mother, divine father, what are the best and highest messages for this collective concerning the downloads we're getting about this shift that is happening? I feel like specifically we're talking about California or something hitting California. Any clarity regarding this, I would really appreciate. I'm sure that the other people watching this would appreciate. Okay, let's see. Thank you for the likes. Higher will. So I'm saying, is it kind of out of our hands? That's literally one of the lyrics that came through. This is what people would say is God's will. Whatever you would like to call it, this is higher will. This talks about something literally being out of your hands. It's like you have to trust in the process. Did you see how that card flew out right now? And then goodwill. Interesting. So we have double will. And then this is Goddess Gaia. I can't make this shit up. That's what I'm saying. It's a cleansing happening. And this specifically, look at I mentioned, this is Earth, Goddess Gaia. This is all this blue. And look at, it feels very water-like. Like a fucking eye of the storm, you know what I'm saying? And there's water coming in. I feel that it could be a combination of things that happen, but definitely because we are on the coast, water is going to be, oh my gosh, fucking TikTok be pissing me off. Support and unconditional trust. I feel like there's going to be a combination. It feels like we have authentic voice. Again, people needing to speak up, say something. What's really standing out to me is this. None of the other cards that I've ever seen in this deck have this little thing in the corner. All of these other cards are very center focused, nothing in the corners. It almost feels like a misprint. It feels so out of place, you know what I'm saying? But all of this blue, specifically there, I feel like while I'm getting the downloads that something is going to be taking place, I am so confident in my intuitive abilities and the downloads and the intuitive women that are in my life right now that have also been confirming things, that I'll put my money on this. You know what I'm saying? That something is going to happen, and I'm not happy about that. It doesn't make me happy to feel these things coming through. It just feels like there is a divine calling for what Spirit wants to focus on in this reading is the calling for people to rise into using their voice. If you see something, you need to say something. If you get a download, you need to say something. It's time to stop being closeted when it comes to your gifts. Literally, we have power popping out. Archangel. Archangel Metatron. So there is, like I said, this meaningful sacrifice. Jeez Louise. Ascended Master, Jesus, and Rose Sophia. I've never pulled this card before. Rose Sophia. I'm going to read that one. But we have Archangel Metatron, which I'm going to start getting into some more abstract spiritual concepts when it comes to light workers, grid working, which means working with the earth, moving around. There is a grid line system of light. We live in a multidimensional universe, you know what I'm saying? So we have our physical reality, and then we also have the other realms that exist within our reality, but because of our perception, our ability to perceive, we're not able to actually see these things, but they are existing on different dimensions. Archangel Metatron specifically deals with the crystal grid, meaning like light codes, activations, transmissions, downloads of information, as well as reworking the body, like the reworking you, almost like programming you. It's almost like receiving information, or your ability to receive information from the divine has to be upgraded at certain times, and going to certain places in the world will put you on a certain grid line that has a higher level of energy, meaning that's why we have like things like the 7 wonders of the world, where people travel from all over and they feel different after they go there. People call them vortexes, people call them whatever, but there are certain places in the earth that have these grid points. And specifically, when we look at as above, so below, this divine law, as above, so below, we have 7 chakra systems. Our body is composed of the same things that the cosmos are composed of, that the earth is composed of. We have the same ingredients, basically. And so if we have 7 energy centers, 7 main chakra centers, The earth also does. You can also see this scientifically if you want to actually see it to believe it. You can look up the Taurian energetic field. You can look up the Taurian field for Mother Earth, or the Earth Taurian field, and you can also look up your energetic aura. You can see a picture of it, and it's called the Taurian field or the Taurus field. Toric field, some people call it different things, but it's basically that. Which also a download just came through about the Torah, the biblical book, or it's not biblical, but there's another religious book called the Torah. That could be something to look into. But anyway, this energetic field, we have 7 main chakra centers, and the base one is called our root chakra. If you look at the Earth's energetic field, you can see that on their chakra centers. You can even look that up, like Earth's chakras. And guess where the US is? On the root chakra, which is where it holds fear, which holds distorted sexuality, which holds power struggles. Like when we're talking about the lower frequency of an unbalanced root chakra, we're talking about unbalance of power. We're talking about feeling ungrounded, fearful, consumerism, all these things to make you feel grounded, quote unquote, but you never actually feel grounded. You never feel safe. You never feel supported. There's a lack of community, all these things that are prevalent in the US. And we are seeing the structure of the root chakra, which is supposed to be, that's what they tell us, especially that is the illusion that they give us, is that the US supports the whole world. You know what I'm saying? The US is the base of the economy of the whole world. When something happens to us, it happens to the whole world, and that is true, but also it's a false foundation. It's not a balanced root chakra. We don't support each other. We have our own shit that we need to work through, and we have so many hidden things under the rug, you know what I'm saying, of what our country was built on. And now we're seeing, even just past the history of all of that, we're seeing the power structures that have maintained this country fall apart, so that we can rebalance the root chakra on a Mother Earth Gaia level. This is a cleansing. Okay, so it feels like, I don't know if you've ever experienced, thank you. I don't know if you've ever experienced a root chakra activation or cleansing, or basically a Kundalini awakening, but it's very fucking jarring, and it can be disorienting. It can be like, it can send you into psychosis if you do it too quickly, and or it's like it should be handled with care, and it should happen gradually in order to integrate what needs to be integrated. But if it's not, which I don't feel like this has been happening gradually, but I feel like there is a point where you have to kind of break through a seal, it feels like. And that's why I feel like there has been this rumbling happening. I was talking about this in past readings, that it feels like tectonic plates. And so literally, it could literally show up as a destructive something happening in California, because when you think about also, just if we look at history and we look at patterns, you know what I'm saying, the US has been, from what I observe, a big ass bully to the world, you know what I'm saying? And we put on a face that we're not, and we are, and it's how do you handle a bully? You know what I'm saying? It's like we've attacked other places. We've gone into other people's business. We've avoided doing the shadow work of our own country. And now it's coming to the surface, because you can't avoid that shit forever. Just like with any individual, you can't avoid your own shit. The same thing happens on a collective level, as above, so below. And so it feels like there's going to be a divine humbling. You are correct. That is going to change when I regain power. Yes. It's like a divine humbling. It's literally what's saying, and I love that it's this card. It says meaningful sacrifice, Ascended Master Yeshua and Rose Sophia. This is collective consciousness. This is when you have the divine feminine rising, Sophia consciousness, and then you have Yeshua, which is the Christ consciousness. And you can only access Christ consciousness if you go through a Kundalini awakening, if you have both your masculine and your feminine coming together in union. If you've been noticing the shifts in individual people's lives, there are a lot of women that are rising, you know, divine feminine rising, that are activating and exposing wounded masculine, both on an individual level and a collective level. And so there is a divine cleansing happening. And this will look like, on a collective level, like a destructive event, because that is literally what it feels like when you're going through a Kundalini awakening. You have to get rid of the foundation that was built on false pretenses. You know what I'm saying? You start to see the world more clearly. He said balance, exactly. And so it feels like, specifically, this is about, well, we've gone through what it's about. We're going to get into more of the cards. Those are the downloads, okay? But yes, if you are located in California, I feel that it may be time to prepare and or relocate more inward into the land, away from the water, because there could be something that takes place in California. I don't know exactly when, how, where, what, but those are the messages I've been getting, and those are the messages my friends have been getting that are also very intuitive, okay? If you need like some kind of proof. But, oh, I was saying about the root chakra. The root chakra exists in the US. And I was saying about being a bully and kind of like, you know, poking at every fucking body for years and years and years, and not looking at our own shit, not doing our own shadow work. And I feel like I even said this as a kid. Like, it's almost like we haven't really had someone come here and do anything to us. And people would argue me on that, considering we've had like 9/11 before and things like that. But I personally don't think that that was completely someone else. I think that was our own shit, you know. Call me a conspiracy theorist, but whatever. But I feel like to actually have been attacked in the way that we have literally ruined the infrastructure of other people's countries, you know, and we see this horrible shit going on in other countries, and we're not stepping in when it matters. You know what I'm saying? It blows my mind. But we need to remove the dams to get the Gaia's meridians. Exactly. That's exactly what it is. That was definitely planned by us. Yes. And so it feels like this is a natural disaster, but it's because we're not doing our own work. It's almost like it's the same example. If you keep running from something, from yourself, God creates these scenarios where you can't run from yourself anymore. And literally that song that I was listening to, one of the channeled songs that was helping this message come through, the God's Country, it was like, it literally said, like, it's not up to you anymore. You know what I'm saying? You've had so many opportunities to rectify, to repair, to give reparations, to at least acknowledge, you know what I'm saying, the way in which that we've built this country and how we've continued to fuel it. And you've had so many opportunities to rework it, and we continue to try to do the same shit and cover shit up under the rug and disempower people and not support people, continue, like, all these things, you know what I'm saying? And so it just feels like California is one of those it's a major state, obviously, and it's a huge economic resource, and it's also where a lot of dark shit happens, you know what I'm saying? Specifically what was coming through Southern California, specifically, I'm thinking about like Los Angeles, you know. They forced us to watch the shit in school to train us to hate others. No, they gave us a few people all the land and they didn't have use for it. Exactly. Okay, let's get into the cards, because I feel like this is going to be a long one, but I'm going to post it on YouTube, so don't worry. So we have Mercury retrograde, a reinvention happening. Reinvention by fire. We have solar eclipse, so that is a huge change taking place. And also a solar eclipse is when the moon is actually in front of the sun. So that is very symbolic. And then we have 12th house, escaping something, escaping a subconscious hidden pattern specifically. And then we have on the bottom of the deck, we have lunar eclipse change. So this eclipse season, I feel like this is why these messages are kind of coming out, you know, because the shifting is taking place. It's like I feel this energy just building and building and building, you know. I feel like other people have been feeling this, but I think that we're all thinking so sometimes on our own collective or our own individual level, that we're not also seeing, even though it is spiritual law that as above so below, you know, that if we're going through so many shifts in our own individual life, what do you think that Gaia is going through, you know? So then we have North Node, life's purpose, and Cancer, I feel, and then 9th house, faith. This is specifically, this is literally Divine Mother rising. It's like an outrage specifically from the Divine Mother, outraged. Like I feel not disgusted, that's kind of what I wanted to say, but outraged. Like the feeling or this, like the feeling that I get from when I read the story about when Kali destroyed all of those demons that were like hurting the women and children, and she was outraged and she was bloodthirsty and those kind of things. Like it gives a very scary vibe, but it's not scary. It has, like they're saying that this is a cleansing, this is a part of, and if you are in alignment, if you have built this relationship with spirit, and this isn't necessarily news to you, that's mad extra. You know what I'm saying? I'm literally in a cul-de-sac. There's no reason, there's nothing that could that would make it that serious. But I guess take it as a exactly, confirmation, the revving up, okay? But yes, this feels very, if you're in alignment, if you built this relationship with spirit, then this isn't necessarily news to you. But I do feel like there is this misinterpretation when you think about Kali Ma as well, of being dark, of being scary, of all of these things. But everything that she's done has been for the betterment of creation, for specifically the women and children, because they are what keeps life going, you know? And when you are disrespecting, disregarding, all of these things, I can't even find the words, but I feel like it's just, yes, all the villains are the actual heroes. Yes, I feel like it's just, it's like disgraceful, you know what I'm saying? But it's also all of the opportunities that people have had to turn towards the light. And specifically in that song, like God's Country, he said, one of the first lines he says is like, waking up, I see the light. But then the rest of the song, he's talking about how, you know, there's fame. Give me a second. There's fame, there's fortune, and there's dark energy, you know? I hate when that fucking happens. Okay. We have North Node, life's purpose. We have the rise of the divine feminine. We have a cleansing happening. Yes, calling my power back. Thank you. Thank you. You just keep readjusting my crown. You know what I'm saying? Yes, calling all my power, my energy back from all time, spaces, places, dimensions, people, for the betterment of myself and the collective and this divine message that's trying to come through. Yes. And I'm out of water. Something told me to go get water before I came and sat down, and I was just like, no, I'm going to get this message out. But like, I do have a little sip left. Okay. Sorry for the intermission. Okay. North Node, Life's Purpose. We see this card specifically. It's this expansion of the heart, if you see this. And also, this gives me a very biblical angel looking kind of thing. It has multiple wings, but it's also in the receiving of the heart and getting out of your comfort zone with the North Node. Let me see. Yes, please send me that. I would really appreciate that. But with this like Cancer card specifically, I think of the Divine Mother. And specifically also, we're talking about Rose Sophia. This is the first time I've seen Rose Sophia, but I always see Sophia Christ Consciousness. I have the Sophia Code behind me. We're talking about the rise of the Divine Feminine, and also that being experienced on a physical level through the earth, you know. So those are the oracle cards. Let's get into, well, we have some more oracle cards. I would not be surprised if I saw something around the lines of the Storm card or something like that, but what else needs to be shared? We have the Comic and the Mentor. Splitting the deck. The Comic talks about having a mask. You see this person is actually very sad and or dark underneath this, but acting like everything is okay. I feel like that's the state we've been in. It's someone that stays at the party even though they're not supposed to be there. What does that remind you of? The Shapeshifter. We have the Vow popping out. The Shapeshifter really, it has like that snake skin. It reminds me of the Kundalini Awakening as well. Then we have the Mask, you know. Okay. What else can we get for this collective message? Angels, ancestors, spirit guides, higher beings of light, and unconditional love to my mother, to my father, Holy Spirit. What are the best and highest messages for the collective? So we have Thanatos and we have the Crone. This is giving me Lilith vibes. Lilith, like rise of, when I say Divine Feminine, I was feeling very much more like a softer feminine, like a rose kind of thing, especially with the name Rose Sophia and all those things. I was thinking about Mary Magdalene, but I also feel like there's an aspects of the Divine Feminine, you know, that need to come out. And so they are always misinterpreted, but they're absolutely necessary. They're the parts that aren't palatable, and we don't need palatable right now, you know. You said I am Lilith and I'm Loki. Yes, we have this. We have the Mentor coming out. I feel like that was such a big message in the beginning of this reading of those that are getting these messages. They are me and I am we. Absolutely. Absolutely. We have the Flame. I feel like those that are getting these messages and or those that are getting like these prophetic downloads, it's so important that we use our voice. It's so important that we use our voice because you don't know who you're going to see, who you're going to activate, what little flame you're going to spark, who you're going to warn, you know. And I've also been getting the downloads of like, you know, clearing this field, you know, like how farmers do that. I've been saying that for the past couple of readings, but I was talking about specifically in past readings, more like the individual, like your field is kind of clear. It's like fertile for creation. It feels like on the collective level. So those that have been doing this process or been connecting with spirit, and and elevating their vibration. It's almost like you're a little bit ahead of the collective energy, and you are an usher for other people to, you are that flame, you know what I'm saying, in this dark period, in this transition period. And so you may be kind of lighting some fires. You may be starting, specifically what's coming to mind was feeling like a forest fire, and this again kind of leading to natural disaster. And you know, California's been going through that for a minute now. But the natural disaster that I was picking up earlier had to do with water and like earthquake kind of vibes. Then the mother, she just doesn't feel very happy right now. You know what I'm saying? It's very, she's coming out of this dark space. It feels like it's, again, the rising, the Kundalini rising. Yes, I feel I used to be worried about what people might think if I said that, but it's the truth and I am the key. Absolutely. I feel the same. But it's really that time. Like, I feel like the call, you know, if you've answered the call, you know, because like you've been on this journey, you've been going through this for quite a while now, and it's now you're starting to see the things that you were feeling or the things that you were picking up a long time ago starting to come to fruition, not just in your own life, but it feels like those, like at the collective level, like what was once called conspiracy is now really happening. There's a lot. So the mother has always been in the background, has always been what sustained this entire thing. This is why the women and the children are so emphasized when we're talking about like these divine feminine archetypes. The womb, literally. The mother energy is what sustains us all. And so those that have portals, literally, that, you know, are the bridge between this world and the spirit world, and allow us to continue to co-create. You know, they need to be honored. They need to be supported. They need to feel safe, you know. And that's why I feel like there's this cleansing happening, because it's just so out of fucking balance. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have the one and then the river. Can I get one more for the one? I was saying the womb, and I said the one in the river, and I was like, who is the, like, I was thinking in my mind, I was like, who is the one, or can we get one more for the one? Because the river talks about a block in this flow. It talks about a block in an emotional space or a water space, you know. But then I'm like, who is this one? And then we have the storm. It's removing that darker energy that is causing a block between this divine flow between spirit and us, which are all of these egoic powers that be, you know. So it feels like the one exists because there's so much darkness around, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're able to exist in this level of darkness. And spirit is saying we're moving out of this space of darkness. We're moving into a very, literally, as I'm saying this, it's going to be very clear. There's a threshold that we're about to jump into. And we're about to jump into the womb space of creation, of creating a new reality, a new timeline, a new whatever you would like to say. You know what I'm saying? But it's very clear. Kairos is about seeing things very clearly, being able to have the eyes to see. So, oracle cards, okay. I do want to grab some angel cards. I knew the storm card was going to come out. Okay. Let me get some angels. What angels are supporting this message? I can't make it up. You saw how the angel of storms. I'm telling you. This is Archangel Ananiel. Ananiel. Angel of storms. This season brings many things. You said filtering your comments. I don't think so. Hopefully you're not. Oh, there we go. Okay, it was covered up because it was a TikTok message or something. You said whoever controls the water controls the world. Absolutely. That's absolutely true. And this, we also see that example through having the ports closed, and people starting to actually be like, wait, that's going to cause a big problem. Yeah, it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, um, my intuition is driving these days. I love that. Jordan is my name. I love your name. If we don't open the dams, Gaia and Mother Nature will. Absolutely. No, exactly, because we're going through our own cleansing period. It's like it's so reflective, and if we are raising the collective consciousness and we're doing this on an individual level, the collective has no option but to do the same, no matter how painful it is, because we know how painful it can be, but it doesn't mean that you get to avoid it, Angel of Storms. This season brings many things, fairer tidings and fair weather. Fairer tidings and fairer weather. Interesting. A bold and brilliant sky shining in gold hue. These destined days without end. Look to the horizons, my son. See for yourself. Its glory becomes us. We see a lot of water on this card. It's really beautiful. A beautiful storm is coming. Angel of verdancy. I don't know what that word means. If anybody could look that up, I would really appreciate that. But then this looks so beautiful. It's like new growth. Also, this was giving, there was some post I saw, I took a screenshot of it, that was saying in Iran, there was one of the oldest trees in the world. I forget what it was called, but then it had a post, verdancy, Verdancy. If you could look that up, I would really appreciate it. Oops, and then one photo. Verdancy, but this tree reminds me of this post I saw yesterday that said the 8 oldest trees in the world and where they were, and 2 of them were in California. One was one of the redwoods, and there was another one that I hadn't heard of. You have ancestors in Iran. You have some strong ancestry for sure. But it made me so sad that all these things are happening, and just made me think of all of the wisdom of those trees, to have been around for hundreds and thousands of years, I don't know how old these trees are, actually. I don't remember exactly, but I took a screenshot of it because I was like, I have been to the redwoods before, but I was so young that I didn't really know how to appreciate it. But this gives me that there's wisdom of the earth that is coming through. Millions, exactly. But it says, this is Angel Suchlaph, Suchlaph. The wind passes the grass in waves, carrying it with a seed of growth. Flowing across the landscape and burrowing into the cool soil, plant life seeks the sky, and with it, the dominion of Suchlaph expands. Let your roots settle is the season for blossoming. So this is exactly what we were saying. It feels like a clearing out to have a fertile soil again. So I feel like there is a lot of trust, faith, support in this message. And I feel like there's a calling in this message to use your voice, to use your gifts, all of those things, but also not to freak the fuck out, because yes, we know that this is happening. We've been knowing that this is going to happen. And if you're connected with the divine, if you trust in the divine, you know that you'll be safe, you'll be protected. And anything that is happening that's kind of crazy around you is due to divine will, higher will. Also, if you get some messages if you get some messages to travel, do that. And then we have the Angel of Sagittarius coming out. When the world we live in feels too constrained, our eyes lift to the horizon. So we keep talking about the horizon. The endlessness of the world calls for us to depart from our lives and become a part of the unknown. In this space, beyond the veil of the familiar, adventure awaits. A part of us never stopped existing in the wilderness. Advakiel, that is this angel, guides us to rejoin the union, to seek for the sake of seeking, to live for the sake of life. Okay, let's get one more, please. Angel of the written word. And then we have angel of snow and angel of rain. So something melting. Something like that. Penemu, angel of the written word. Penemu never showed his face. It was almost certain that a face was present under his silken mask, but what manner of beast or man may lay beneath is a mystery. When there was a death, Penemu would carve the name of the deceased in a stone that was laid above the grave. He said that this made men more like angels. At night, he walked amongst the graves carrying a light. He wouldn't say why. I want to get the tarot for that because I feel like that's something, yes, set in stone, absolutely. And it's like, it feels like offering, you know, especially with his hands kind of being this way. It feels like divine sacrifice, and we did have this meaningful sacrifice card at the bottom of the deck. And then the confusion of like, how could something so destructive be of a higher power? But we've gone into all of this as to why this is in alignment with higher will and higher power and bringing things back into balance, you know? It's like when you get stuck in the minutia of like what is going on, which it is destructive, you know, but it's also when you zoom out and you see what's been going on, it's actually cleansing, you know? And this is where we have to remove ourselves and our human experience here and actually tap into our essence as a spirit. And it's not like completely detaching or escaping reality, but the reality of reality is that this is a human experience, you know? And if we're not, I don't know, those people, those places, those things that have been acting as a cancer cell, you know, to the procreation of humanity and the elevation of collective consciousness, what do you think is going to happen? You know what I'm saying? Yes, this is like Thanos is trying to do, unfortunately. This is actually a really good example. I want to give the tarot. Actually, I'm going to use my serious cards. Thank you for the follow. Thank you for the follow. I've been going on pretty long in this reading, but I just felt like it was coming through so intensely when I was working earlier. I was like, oh my God, like I can't stand this 3D shit. Like I'm filling out a spreadsheet and I'm getting prophecy right now. You know what I'm saying? Like I need to film what I need to say. Okay, let me add more detail. The Queen of Swords and the Hierophant. This is the divine feminine coming through and revealing the truth. I had gone through what felt like a crown chakra awakening last eclipse season. Not this last, it was like October of last year, October or November. And it was very intense, and I was getting all of these downloads. I literally have a notebook somewhere around here where I wrote like 10 pages of notes in one night where I was just like download. And there was something, I started to study the like Jewish mysticism, and it like came and it went, and I'm really feeling called to go back and looking at like the Tree of Life, the Kabbalah, like really looking into that more often, and just like extracting the esoteric truth from it. But they talked about how to interpret. There are 3 ways to interpret the esoteric text. There's exoteric, which is like just paying attention to the surface and or taking somebody else's interpretation as truth, you know, because you're not doing your own deep diving. Then there's esoteric, which is like reading between the lines, you know. And then there is those that are supposed to be the seekers or the truth tellers. They're supposed to be one and the same, but it said specifically, it was like almost decoding a message of those that have been put in the position of power, the Hierophant, those that are supposed to be teaching, have altered the messages, have altered the words. And those, it talked about specifically spiritual court, and breaking karmic contracts. And the person that interprets something and it says the message, if someone does a wrongdoing based off of that information, that person is not necessarily, I don't want to say that. It's the way that I want to make sure I'm saying it right, because that's part of the fucking message. It's like, say it correctly. If you have the consciousness and the communication skills to say something correctly and to be interpreting things for people, or to help people with grasping certain concepts, then it's your responsibility to deliver it clearly, you know. But those that tinker with that on purpose, you know, they are held to the karmic retribution, not necessarily the person that did the wrongdoing based off of the wrong understanding. Although every person has the responsibility of being a seeker as well, but those that were put in power specifically to deliver messages on behalf of the divine and they tinkered with that, that's not good. You know what I'm saying? It's not good. But this is saying that there is a very swift ass kicking coming through from the divine, a swift ass kicking, what did I say? From the divine, from the feminine, specifically coming in. And I see the Six of Cups here. Again, children. It's about co-creation, procreation. It's about women and children specifically. And it's not saying fuck the men. It's saying like the women haven't been honored. The divine feminine hasn't been honored, and we haven't been taught to be honored. We've been like hidden in plain sight, you know, and it's due to this patriarchal power, fucking disgusting structure that we have going on. You know what I'm saying? It's too many. It's too many. I'm here to fight for all of the children. Exactly. The children are where our future lies. You know what I'm saying? We have the children and we have the Ten of Cups. We have the sun. We have Christ consciousness existing within the inner child. And then we have our ancestry, our divine inheritance. It's all in one, you know? Yes, they forgot there can't be a father without a mother. Absolutely. So then we have the Ten of Wands. There's something, a cycle finally being let go. And finally, look at that image too. I have to cover her yiddies. But it's like a single mother. You know what I'm saying? Doing everything on her own, underappreciated, not supported. You know, having the whole world on her damn back. You know? And then we have the Four of Cups and the King of Wands. And this person, those in power, King of Wands, you know, the bravado, you know what I'm saying? And turning away and not seeing, quote unquote, not seeing or choosing not to see all of the opportunities that they've had to rectify, to reconcile, to appreciate, to celebrate, to recognize all of these things. And instead we have a quote unquote King of Wands, you know. It is in the upright. So there is, it feels like this divine masculine rising, but it feels like it's because these men are children at the end of the day. Page of Wands. They present as a King of Wands, but then we really have a Page of Wands. And it's due to the programming that we have. But there's no, Spirit is saying that confusion is a choice. That is one of my favorite lines from the Hood Healer. At this point, confusion is a choice. You know? And we have Ace of Cups, and then we have the Lovers. This Lovers upright or reverse. I feel like it's reverse. The Ace of Cups. I want to get one more for the Lovers in reverse. And the Emperor. Yeah, the Spirit is saying it's almost as if, well, it's because the Divine Feminine have been rising. We have catalyzed this shift, you know, and because we're refusing to procreate anymore. This is the womb space, the Ace of Cups. Because we're choosing to not procreate anymore, it has really shifted a timeline where, again, it's been pinpointing the wounded masculine out and asking the divine masculine to rise, you know, going from King of Wands and the bravado and being in hiding their just wounded inner child, and asking them to actually rise into the Emperor state. We can't continue to live in a world that we don't have the proper support, you know. We have the Ace of Wands, and it landed right on the womb card like this, you know. It's giving Kundalini Tantra, you know. But yes, we're not going to be opening our womb spaces up for anything other than a divine masculine. Okay, so it's like, and that's very much going. It's the same thing for, it's this divine masculine, or this consciousness of divine masculine that is what feels like coming down into the earth, you know. It's being grounded into the earth, and it's very much giving like fertile soil, fertility. But we are in the process of doing that. This is what we're moving towards, which feels like procreation, again, creating a whole new world, but only when the masculine is able to enter this higher level consciousness, which is essentially what Christ consciousness is. You know, it's the light consciousness that is able to be accessed and like focused in on something, you know. It's strong, it's deliberate, it's powerful, and we are in the state of preparing to receive, but we can't do that if we're still entertaining and or like existing in this middle space between realities where we have these false masculines in power, you know. Yes, we are standing in our power. I'm homeschooled, but I homeschooled my kids, but their father is keeping them from me. Oh, I hate that. I hate that. That makes me sad. I have been thinking about homeschooling as well, because I want to travel with my son. We have the Six of Pentacles. This card always is interesting to me because it feels like a man is here, and then I'm covering her things, but there is a shift in power happening. What men have always been afraid of, I feel like the men that support this imbalance has been afraid of, is that we would do the same thing that they've done to us. This is the same conversation that we have about racial issues and power structures there. The people that are in power are afraid of the amount of power that the other group would have, quote unquote, over them. What they don't realize, and what their fear has them fucked up in their mind about, is that if that was the case, if that was the intention, it would have been happened by now. You know what I'm saying? We're not people, women of color, people of color, whether we're having the conversation of masculine versus feminine or even these racial issues, the power, the people that are in this distorted power are afraid of being overpowered or over dominated, not realizing that the other group that is being dominated is just asking for equality. And this equality may look different than what you're currently doing, because you being so afraid of them being in a position of power lets me know that you understand that you have distorted power, that you're over compensating in how you are dominating this person or this group. You know what I'm saying? It's like the willful ignorance, you know what I'm saying? Because you wouldn't have so much fear of power if you didn't abuse the power that you have, you know? And so it's like when those groups of people, whether we're talking about the masculine feminine conversation or these racial groups or whatever, it's The power structures will look different, but that does not mean that we're dominating you. Does that make sense? Like this woman exists in these realms, in higher realms. She's a bridge between, you know what I'm saying? It looks different than the power that you're able to access and have here. That does not mean that it's better or that it's worse than you or that you are lower or higher. It's because we have this linear thinking that there's so much fear that exists. We have the world in the reverse. And then even here we have a nice little vulnerable woman that normally is sitting on top of the world in her rightful place. This is very much giving Kali Ma energy as well. I love that she has her wings out and everything. Sitting on the world, you know, like not dominating the world, leading the world, loving the world, helping it flourish, butterflies, greenery, you know what I'm saying? Kundalini snake, all the beautiful things. It's in the reverse. Right now it's flipped upside down. Then we have Seven of Cups. It's literally confusion. It doesn't make any fucking sense. It's Seven of Swords, 7-7. It's an illusion, literally. It's an illusion. It's backwards. So we have the Five of Wands and the Five of Cups. We have 5-5. So we have the 7-7 here, meaning a spiritual presence, you know, spiritual support in this change. And then we also have the Five of Cups in reverse, and we have the Five of Wands, meaning that there is a battle of egos, but the battle that is taking place is really the grief that people feel from an old way of being that they have to let go of. An old way of being that they have to let go of, that has to die. You know, it has to, again, there's this destruction, and there's going to be this feeling of grief through this transition. And I think that Spirit is bringing it to the forefront so that we're all very aware of it and that we can support each other in processing it. But it's a divine cleansing. So then we have the Queen of Pentacles. It kind of flew. I don't know if it's upright or reverse, but I feel like we're kind of getting to the bottom of the end of the message. There will be a new world. It will be equal. We have the King of Pentacles and we have the Queen of Pentacles. This is specifically dealing with the earth realm. Specifically dealing with the 3D. And specifically, it's going to come about when the masculines are able to see clearly how much value that the women's perspective, the women's intuition, the women's voice, the women's womb has to bring to the world, and supports her in providing her the structures needed that are necessary for us to flourish, for the world to flourish. Until then, everybody's going to be put into a hermit mode to do some deep reflection. It's almost like we're getting grounded. You know what I'm saying? Literally, physically, and essentially like a child, we're being grounded. That was essentially what happened when we went through the panoramic, you know, in 2020. Everybody got grounded. They got sent to their room and they had to do some deep reflection. And it really changed a lot of the trajectory of people's lives. So we have the Page of Swords. I say get curious about what you find, what you look at, what you observe from your past, and maybe how, or the past, history specifically. And I think that there's a release of anxiety and fear and worry that needs to take place, realizing that when you actually study the true history, her story, our story, all of those things, when we actually look at it in a unified way, when we don't leave out parts, important parts like the divine feminine, then we're able to actually come to a fuller conclusion about what the world is supposed to look like, you know, and how it can actually exist in a balanced way. I feel like that is the message. I feel like this was so intense. I appreciate everybody for participating in the reading with me and leaving comments. Thank you guys for showing up. And helping me move through this, to like doing it together. I appreciate that so much. If you're interested in a personal reading, everything can be found on atouchofvenus.com, and that is the only place that you can find a reading. This will be posted on YouTube, assuming that I can download it, because it's so damn long, I'm pretty sure. But it was important that I said everything that I said. And I prayed that I said everything that needs to be said to activate those that are going to come across it and that need to hear it. And if you feel called to go anywhere new, if you feel like you need to move, if you feel like you need to prepare, please do that. Please do that. Because that is your intuition guiding you towards safety, towards support. Okay? Other than that, I hope that you have a beautiful day. And get right with spirit, okay?